I've had some trouble today with my heart, and so
Oh
I've
no.
actually, dude, yes, I've had like amazing like numbers. It's been great, like going in the 140s on my heart rate. I'm not even exercising,
Oh
so
man.
if I'm not going to pass out on the air. Usually, I'll just sit over here. If I just look quiet, keep talking.
All right. Sounds good. Are you using a phone for your camera by any chance?
Yes, I am. Do I need to change it up a little? Oh, what? I need to go
Yeah.
wider.
Yeah, you need to go
Well,
landscape.
yeah, let's go landscape it for you real quick. Hang on just a second. It'll take a little bit of finagling, so hold on. So yeah, I've got my new cart over here. I'm trying to make sure I use it properly. Make sure I don't show anything not fun, like my pillow. My pillows are funny. See, I'm trying to make sure Jude, put that down, like that. There we go. Can you see me okay?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, cool. And I don't look like totally weird. Hi, Sarah. Hi.
How's it going?
Good.
Looks like we got John A. Douglas in the chat. He says, locked in with the Riz, ready to aura farm for days.
You got an aura farm. That's awesome.
I don't get the reference. I don't know if that has something to do with my sweet intro song, which is the YouTube royalty-free music.
I'm sure it's perfect.
I don't know. Can you guys see the chat? Like when you're on here, like can you see the screen that I have set up with you guys on it, or what do you guys see from your end?
I just see whoever has got a camera on them, and then if I try to go to watch, I can't go to the YouTube because then I get an echo. I can't turn off the
Gotcha.
sound. I was trusting you to read off anything particularly, relevant and pithy that was coming in.
We're looking to you.
Sounds good. And then we're just waiting on Blake come on in.
Blake. I'm over here scrolling through my own story so I can make sure that I end it at the proper time. I can barely see the screen. I'm having to like blow it up so big.
Oh, I gotta get my Kindle too.
I know, and mine's way down here, so I'm trying to see it.
Herman P. Hunter, what's going on? He blames technology.
Herman is awesome. He's an info warrior.
That's my favorite class of fighter.
Info warrior.
Yeah, sorry couldn't make it last weekend, but I was just like Sunday was way too busy with Easter. I did not have a chance to get any reading done.
Oh, we had Easter all weekend, so it was like, and I had visitors this week from China.
You have the advantage of kind of knowing what the book's about.
A little bit. You'd think I would know everything in it. Actually, I said I try to read it, so I have an idea of what my own book is about. Because otherwise, that's how you get a thing called plot holes. If you have a 12-book planning, then it's like it can get pretty cattywampus. Don't read one book from time to time.
Yeah, I can see that. Herman says that she's famous, by the way. I'm assuming he's talking about you, Rebecca.
Yeah, Herman's famous. Herman's the one that does the whole. He is like the king of audiobooks. Everybody loves his Audible. His Audible has the voice of angels on it. Herman, post dude. He probably doesn't want to let us know who it is. He's got this guy that he's got this perfect, not a very cultured accent, perfect for fantasy storytelling, a rich, deep baritone. It's just like the dude fell out of the sky and landed on Herman's head, literally landed on him. and it sells the book so much. He's like the king of Audible right now. He's just amazing.
He treats his narrator like it's a special fishing hole. He doesn't want to tell nobody about it.
He sort of guards it jealously. It's like, make sure nobody steals him away. Not that I would be, because I'm like having a Texas story. Mine has to sound like a Texas person.
Yeah. All right, looks like we got everybody here. So welcome back. Yeah, sorry couldn't make it to last week's stream. But yeah, Easter Sunday was just way too busy. I didn't get the reading done. If I was in school, I probably would have got in trouble. But I'm not. I'm on YouTube, so I can do whatever I want. But yeah, here we are. How was your guys' Easter and the week after?
Good. Very good.
Did you have fun? Did you eat candy, Sarah?
Oh, yes.
Really quick, say your favorite Easter candy that you had so we can all know what it was. So we can enjoy your...
I like those Ferrero Rocher, the ones in the gold foil.
Yes.
Ferrero Rocher.
Yeah.
Yeah,
those.
like the hazelnut candy or whatever.
Yeah, and some Lind truffles that were Neapolitan, so they were strawberry and chocolate and vanilla. No, they were really good. They were like little bits of warm ice cream.
Ooh.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have we buy all the Easter candy, and then we don't give obviously all of it to our kids. So there's this whole stash in our closet in our bedroom, but the Easter bunny brought the candy, so I can't eat the candy in front of them. So I got to go run in the bedroom and close the door and then get in the closet when the kids aren't watching and get down on the candy.
All of it to hide it. That's right.
Yeah. What about you, Blake? What'd you get down on?
I think there was a raid done on the post-Easter candy sale because I did stumble across the cache of the mini Cadbury mini eggs, which are quite addictive, and I can't imagine they would have survived this long had they been there pre-Easter. So I think those pre-done post-Easter raids where you just boom, 50% off, 70% off,
Get that clearance candy.
Yes.
Herman
Although,
says
it loses all its nutrition.
Yeah, all its nutrition.
It didn't have any.
Yeah. Herman says he keeps him chained up in the basement so that he can work for no one but me.
Terrible.
All right, so part 3 of Transmutation Texas. Pretty cool action going on between basically just the Watcher and Rose, or I guess Saul and Rose, or the Watcher and the Afterling, however you want to, whatever moniker you want to use. But yeah, it starts off, and I'll just do a quick recap. Starts off, and it's basically just after he left Reunion Camp. He's going after the Afterling, after Rose, and he can tell that there's a couple people tailing him, some sentinels tailing him. Ends up bedding down for the night. You can tell that the Afterling's kind of watching him in the trees. Then, correct me if I might mix this up a little bit, but I believe some boars come in and kind of complicate the situation. They end up killing the boars. He can tell that the guys that were trailing him they went to sleep, so you can tell they were camping. And then the boars came and he killed them. And I think that kind of they're boars, so they're super loud. Or they're pigs, I guess. Boars is the male pig, but whatever. You know what I mean?
Yes, a boar, male pig, and the Watcher doesn't actually kill them. They go after each other.
That's why it's so loud. Yeah.
Okay. It's so loud because I know boars because they go down our ravine, and so they actually run all the way down our ravine, and they make all sorts of noise. So I'll tell you more about that later. But yes, I'm intimately aware of.
Yeah, he climbed in because I know they were both in trees. So he climbed up in the tree, and then the boars came, right? And then they attacked each other.
Yes.
All right. So
the other thing, boars, is they'll actually tear the campsite. If you've ever been around them, they will absolutely root up everything, especially if you've got any kind of food or anything out. They go after it with their little snouts, and so it will tear up all traces of your camp or even your footprints.
I have never been around wild boars.
No, me neither.
And domesticated pigs, just on Halloween, we go to the pumpkin patch and it's on the farm. But I would love to go to Texas and do one of those helicopter hunts. I know you guys got a huge problem with them down there.
Pig Man lives just down the road from me.
Yeah. What's Pig Mail? Is that a ranch?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they have a ranch out here, and they do a lot of. It is a real problem out here. We'll go into that later, but yeah, it's a big deal. They eat a lot of the native flora and fauna. They go after our nesting ground birds. So if you love Texas birds and Texas wildlife, it really affects the Texas wildlife. So they're out of control. There's just too many of them, and they're tasty if you get them at the right age. So yes, people get to eat, and they actually give away a lot of the meat to the homeless shelters, and for processing and things like that. So it's a very worthy cause, and they try to do it the most humane way possible. So that was good.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe someday I'll get a chance to try that out. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, the pigs come, they're fighting, and so the Watcher already knew that
I had never Witcher, so I didn't do it.
he smelled Rose and knew she was like nearby and up like in a tree. But then he got up in the tree to avoid the pigs. They killed each other, alerted the guards that were, or not the guards, the guys tracking them, the trackers. And yeah, so basically Rose managed to get into his tree above him. He manages to trick her and he knifes her hair, her ponytail to the tree so she can't get away. And then he goes, and correct me if I'm mixing up the order of events here, but then he drops down because he can hear the sentinels come. He stealth kills them with his knife. And then basically it's like a long journey of him trying to get away from a Union camp and also wrangle Rose, but trying to figure out how to do it in a way that doesn't, I don't know. He doesn't want to just straight up brutalize her. He wants to find a way that maybe it's like she's willing and they can work together because he can't talk. And he's trying to figure out how her ring works. Not how her ring works, but he's trying to find out a way to communicate with her using the ring. And then they get, so she tells him about the flower, which I don't know the whole, I know she was looking for flower. There's the flowers by Reunion Camp that he saw in the ditch. Obviously I don't think we're supposed to know exactly what the whole importance of, but it sounds this flower is very important. Oh, I think we lost Rebecca. Very important to, from wherever Asura, or, from where Rose came from. There we go. She's back. So yeah, the flower is extremely important to her camp, her civilization, whatever, her settlement. And then the Watcher takes it and then has a hallucination or a vision of the child, and the child's dancing and, doing the siren stuff, putting him in a trance, and he kind of goes to her and plants the flower, I guess, or buries it in front of the child. The child's it's just as far as I can tell, it only exists in a vision that he sees. It's not a physical being because Rose doesn't see it.
Rose.
Yeah. So he buries it, and she's like, "What the hell, dude? That was my flower. It was the whole reason I'm out here. Give me back my flower." So that was a whole nother point of contention where she's and he can't talk to her and tell him I just had a vision. I had to bury that flower. He picks her up and starts carrying her while she's beating on him. And there's this funny part where she knocks his hat off, and then he's he points to his head, points to his hat, points to his head, and then he points to her AR-15 and points back to her, and she's like, "Oh, if I pick up your hat and put it on your head, will you give me my AR-15?" And that's what she thinks. So she gives him back his hat, and then he just picks her back up and doesn't give her back her gun. Hilarious.
Evil. He's evil, man.
Yeah.
He's being patriarchal, y'all.
It's patriarchal. Fight the power. Yeah, and then they're trekking, and they end up getting attacked by a Black Panther, which, what's funny is I know that's a thing in the South only because of Duck Dynasty, where Uncle Si was "I saw a Black Panther," and then they're "You're crazy, man. There ain't no Black Panthers out here."
My people, my son and my daughter and her boyfriend saw it on the ranch next door to us. They were together. Literally, we're going after it. And I was like, "Dude, don't shoot. That's not my property. You cannot shoot on my property." And the thing just jumps into the weeds, and we're all trying to take a photo or do something. My mother has seen one. My backdoor neighbors have seen it. It's out here, and we believe it to be, like I said, in the books.
Someone's got a race car in the background.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's the Jaguar right now. No, but it's what's known in our area would probably be a melanistic jaguar. Jaguars used to roam this area 200 years ago. They had a territory all the way to Louisiana and up to the Red River. So we believe that there's probably a population out here of melanistic black panther that's actually a jaguar, because that's the only version we know like that, but it would look like these. And stories go back 150 years. The first settlers saw them. So that's why we have the actual local school had their name on their school as the Mahia Black Cats. And so they have black cats as their, not because of a kitty cat, but because of the Panthers. So I threw that in there, and all the Mahia people were like, "Yeah."
So is that something in the South? Is it people see it, but does the I don't know, the Fish and Game, do they acknowledge that there isn't a population?
No, Fish and Game will not acknowledge it unless they see it. or if they have what they call credible proof, even if you have a picture, people have posted pictures of these. But remember, for years, we posted photos of cougar concolor, which is a tan cougar, pumas, mountain lions. They're here in Texas. I've seen that too. I've had a mother and her kids go across the road just in my pasture next door that I have. And now they're finally acknowledging, yes, they are there. So usually the public will see it 10, 20 years before. If you're out there and you're with Fish and Game, I love you. I know you're doing your job. The public tell them for years, and they'll be like, oh, there's no bears in this area. There's bears, right? Like a couple of counties down, there's bears near Austin, Texas now. We know they're going to be here. And the same thing with the cougars happens. So I am fairly certain that we do have an actual population out here. It's just very rarely seen. And probably it is a remnant population. We're kind of rural. And like I've told you all, we have a lot of farms and ranches. There's way more people in this county that are actually rural than there are populated areas. And so we don't have that pushback of urban interface like a lot of other places do.
Yeah.
So I firmly believe that they're out here, and we have a lot of bluffs. We have a lot of rivers that run through here, and the cougars and any other kind of animal like that, any big cat would follow the hogs because they're a large population of tasty critters that are big enough to feed your kits and you for a couple of days. And so they follow the hogs. So hogs and black panthers go hand in hand.
Yeah. I feel like this is like half book club, half like educational seminar on Texas, and I'm kind of here for it. So yeah, basically this whole a lot of the part 3 is this long journey across the wildlands, trying to get away from a Union camp, and this dilemma that Saul has of trying to figure out how to make this little beautiful golden lady cooperate with him. And he's like
ever.
Yeah, right. And he's like, does she even know that I'm human? She calls me a devil. I mean, in fairness, he's like red scaled and doesn't have any hair, so he probably looks like a demon of some kind. But yeah, they end up killing the panther, and then it becomes apparent that so Saul doesn't really have to sleep because of his mutations and whatnot. But he learns that Rose does because she starts to get like sleepy and like looks like she's weakening. So he offers her some jerky. She's like, no, I don't. Humans don't eat meat. And he's like, okay, whatever. Here's some cornbread, and she wolfs that down. And he throws her back over his shoulder, and she eats a few more pieces of cornbread and then passes out. They come to I don't know if there's a name for the town he comes to. But he comes to a bait shop that's in like a small town that's like even before, like in the life before, the way you described it, it sounded like it was one of those towns that was like, it used to be like an industrious place. Maybe there was like a mill or some kind that like brought people there, and then like that left, and so the town kind of died even before the happening. Is that right?
It's actually the name of the town is actually Springfield, Texas.
Yeah, that's what it was.
After the Civil War, it died out, but we still have a bait shop there. So the bait shop is actually my bait shop it's now Patty's Way. That serves burgers and occasionally other paraphernalia. And it's a wonderful lady. I love her. But so the places that are out there, a lot of them are still there. And Springfield, of course, it's a rural area.
Nice. Yeah.
But it does have got breath.
Yeah.
And
yeah. So,
club. Now, got the honey house.
Yeah. And it's a place that he's been to before, the Watcher. Because he like, when they go scavenging, they put like X's on buildings and let them remind themselves that they've already checked that space. So he comes to they come across a motel that I think they've already searched before, but he goes in anyway. Does he go to the motel? I'm trying to remember now. He passes the motel by. Then he goes in. That's right. He goes into the bait shop and opens it up, and there's like cockroaches everywhere, and they go scurrying. What is that? An airplane? What is that sound? I'm hearing something.
I have no.
It's not me.
He's being
Is it
bad.
me?
It might be you. Something. Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like a airplane. There you go. Just went away. Anyway, yeah. So he goes in there. Cockroaches go scurrying. He finds the clerk that owned the place, like in the beer bar. Yeah, there it is. And he's like a skeleton with his hand on like an order receipt and like the other hand on like a case of beer or something like that. And he seems very reverent to the dead, which is cool. He seems like a very respectful guy to that kind of, that stuff. So that's interesting character trait. And then he notices that Rose with her now that because he like tapped into her ring, the We Speaks, right? We Speaks, and that I don't know. He like messed with some interfaces, but when they came into the bait shop, there must have been because he'd been there before, but his ring didn't work, I guess. But hers, since hers is working, and she got there. Apparently, there's this thing called, and I just brain farted what it's called, house butt. What is it? Helpers, yeah. Helpers. And it basically tried to do like an auto update on her ring, but it was like corrupt. Like the program itself was like corrupted and like this like weird like artificial intelligence demon, and like trapped her because it's like the ring like interfaces with your brain, right? It must be some kind of brain implant, and so like you can literally see it. So it trapped her like in this crazy nightmare, and was like literally draining the color from her body, and so he had to go in and like do like a sweet hack job to boot that demon out, exorcise that demon, and then he went out and found like where the beacon was coming from. I think it was like on like a cell tower, some kind of a broadcasting tower or something like that, and ripped it out so he could like get her ring and go through the details where he found pictures of where she's from, other afterlings, and he saw the fathers, which those guys seem weird. I'm not gonna lie.
Good job. They're weird.
Yeah. They don't seem chill. I wouldn't want to hang out with the fathers of the church fathers. So yeah, basically just kind of he's snooping on her stuff, seeing pictures, looking at her messages. I realizes like Angelina's dead, that she was accused of something that she's trying to absolve herself of. Yeah, I think that's right about where it wraps up. I think she woke up right at the end, I think, of part 3.
No, she doesn't awaken yet. She's actually
She was groaning, but her color's starting to come back.
Yeah, she's looking better now.
Yeah, so that's basically as far as fill in any gaps that I might have missed that you guys think should be mentioned.
You did very well on your book review. Good report. Good job. Good read.
Cool. So anything that stands out to anybody that you really liked or didn't like, I guess? Lost Bit.
No, Bit. He didn't love me at all. He's gone now.
He's like, I hate it.
I DNF'd your face. Yeah. When somebody said to me, I've DNF'd your face, woman. Like,
yeah. Can I ask what, like, so like a book like this, what is it? Just sci-fi? What genre is this? Because it feels very sci-fi just with no outer space, especially now that we're getting into like the ring and all the tech.
Yeah, it's I literally just wrote it, and it happened the way it is. We've sort of gotten married to genre, and it's especially in the industry, if you're getting published, they want a genre for your book. It has to fit in a genre. And as I've said before, Watcher of the Damned, even though it is a romance, it cannot be classified as a romance or fit into the romance genre because it doesn't follow the formula. There's a specific formula it has to follow in order for it to be considered for any awards or anything else. So it can't follow there. Yeah. It doesn't have space in it. So it is sci-fi, and it actually is, I would say probably it is a Western fantasy in this respect, that there is a fantasy element there, especially in the supernatural element of it.
Yeah.
But whatever reason, it worked, and the blend, I haven't had anybody yet. I know there's probably going to be somebody that complains, it's too many things, but I haven't had anybody complain about it because we were able to, it all came together on its own organically. I didn't go, I'm going to have this one and that one. I'm going to have sci-fi and a romance and a Western and these things. I just wrote it because it came, and it sort of became itself. And so because it's multi-genre, it's a new genre. It's a fusion. And as a result, it can be really hard to classify and market because it actually has genetic engineering in it. It's got cyberpunk. It is based loosely on a near-term future of a post-apocalypse Texas. And I can't really explain it any other way than, the star base is over there. We got cool stuff, So it melded all of those things, and it doesn't really leave any of those out. So that's how we end up with that weirdness in the genre.
Yeah, I've never read a romance, like it's a straight up romance novel, so I don't know what the formula would be for that. I mean, obviously I see like seems to be a connection between, Saul and Rose.
Romances have to have a happy ending. Actually, they said there has to be something that's a happy ending. It has to translate somehow as a happy ending. And if it doesn't, then you can't say it's a romance. And of course, this is not a pure romance because the romance is a side plot. It's not the main plot. The main plot is the story itself of how they're, and you'll find as you read forward, you find out what the actual drive is towards and what they're moving towards. Yeah. And as you go through, the romance grows out of the main plot. So to make that clear for everybody, when any jigginess is sort of like it's integral to the story, but it's not like the whole thing. So we don't.
Yeah.
I know, Sarah. What did you think? Well, we're sitting here watching Blake translate in and out of the planes. He's like, he's phasing. He's phasing.
Casting Blink.
Well, I think I mentioned before in one of my reviews how I like how you switch between, and Bruce, you brought it up, the different names. So sometimes it's Saul and Rose, and sometimes it's the Watcher and the Afterling, and it's like sometimes they're in their roles of these archetypes that are having this grand epic adventure, and then sometimes they're just a man and a woman who are very frustrated about their situations and learning to deal with each other. And I really like how you do that, and it just seems very organic. It doesn't seem like it's, precious or self-conscious. It just sort of like happens, and it works really well.
I think well, one of the things we did, I remember you talking about the naming conventions, and one of the things I wanted to show the most was the fact that most of us have what we call as a public face. The Watcher is going to be called the Watcher throughout the book. I have, as the cast grows, and this became very apparent when I started writing this, I got further into the story, and the Watcher, if I call it, you can call him Saul or you can call him the Watcher, but in reality, most of us have a name that is given to us by the people we're interacting with. So, for instance, on your Eskert Pircella, did I get it right? Did I almost get it right? Pircella.
No.
What is it? Say it for me.
Piesh Hawa.
Oh, I messed that way up when I had you on.
To me, because I know you're Sarah, and so I call you Sarah to your face. And so we had this thing where the Watcher is known as the Watcher to everybody else. Rose is the only one who called him Saul. That's the only person that ever knew his name is Abuelita. She's the only one in the story outside of call him. And so the point where we have what we call the intimacy, and this is in writing, I wanted to have a flag for intimacy, calling somebody by the name that only you know or that only they know you by. And that's just typically something you do in families. We actually have that in our family, that we have what we call our family name. If you pick up the phone and you hear me talking to you, you better hear me call you by your family name, or you'll know that this is not me. And that's also how we do it with text and stuff like that. It's a way of letting us know, I know who you really are. You got your family, nickname that nobody wants to hear except your mom, And so, and I wanted that for them. And it also helps because when we have the Watcher or the Afterling, or we have Saul and Rose, it gets really, really crazy when you start getting at least 6 people in the room and you go, the Watcher said this, and the Watcher said that, and then this other character said this. And so we have this a little bit of a flip. There's their names, and then there's their descriptor, which is the Afterling is Rose, of course. So if I want to describe Rose, I can't just use Rose over and over again. I would use the Afterling for her. So that's her descriptive name. And it worked out really well throughout the book, because I was able to use this, especially in the more complex scenes where we have a large cast of characters and they're all talking in a group. I was able to switch back and forth. And my readers know by that point, we get that far down the road, they've heard this name over and over again. So we get a little variety in it, and it doesn't get so repetitive as when we have just one name for that character. We have a given name, and then we have the end name that's a more intimate name.
I like that as a a craft choice. That's a cool method for showing the reader the relationship between the characters.
Yeah, in fact, most characters will actually give each other, they all have nicknames. They'll give each other a certain nickname. You'll hear them talking to each other. Frequently, I don't know if you've ever had one of these people in your life, but they'll go, now you wait just a second here, Bucko. They'll call you Bucko or whatever. That'll be their name that they'll give you. So usually this old man, like that, and he will. Your name is what, Bruce, but he'll call you, hey, come here, Brucey lad, or something like that. Whatever it is they call you. But they always have this little bit of it, and it helps also with characters' voices, because
definitely.
Yeah, and that's one thing I think. when we look at how we're describing our characters, the ability, you humanize your people. When I've read your writing, Sarah, you have this humanization that occurs, and it's just through the natural flow. There's something about the way that you do your work that just, when I've read I haven't gotten to read everything that you have, but because of the way that you talk, it just flows naturally for you. I felt like I had to have more of a descriptor because I have so many characters, and there are just so many in the book. By the time we get finished, and you'll get to meet them, that are important characters, but they sort of rotate in and out. That I wanted to give them that voice that they would have for when they're talking to the watcher. So that way we know it's them talking. And so if you have a page full of dialogue, every dialogue is different and the voices are different. And that means that they have a special pet name that they'll use for a particular character that's standing around talking to them. And so we try to reflect that and try to keep the dialogue tags to a minimum and make it more about action and the naming itself. But one thing I noticed, and somebody else mentioned this, that women are more likely to say somebody's name in a conversation. Like I said, "Hey, Sarah, how you doing?" Bit and Bruce have said absolutely nothing to each other. They don't even care. You're like, "Hey, Bit, hey, Bruce," you're not saying that. You're just like, "Hey, hey." But, and so I didn't realize that, and I started writing. I was like, I'm naming them. I'm like, oh, I guess I do that in real life. So cool.
Yeah, that's what they say. Guys can know each other. They can have a 3-hour conversation and not know each other's name. Maybe be best friends.
They don't have to. They don't have to know nothing.
Yeah.
How are you doing a bit? I have 3
Uh-oh.
bits.
He's cloning himself now.
What happened?
That's cool.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Hopefully it's not like something on my end causing him to jump back out like that. I ended up going just stream to YouTube because like every time I was streaming to YouTube and X, it kept like buffering. So like we would say something that would get completely cut and then jump forward. So I stopped. We're not streaming on X right now. We're just doing YouTube. Yeah. I got to say, anything else that kind of stuck out to you, Sarah? I got a few things, but I don't want to hog the mic.
I thought that the evil internet in your head thing was really terrifying. You didn't go overboard in describing it or spending too much time on it, but there was enough that you could. I can see something like this happening, and I don't like it, and I hope it doesn't happen. And
that's very good. That was a good description of not wanting something. Good job.
Yeah. I liked it. Like it was creepy in like the detail you gave, but because you didn't like go overboard with it, I feel like now there's this dread and this kind of mystery about it.
Exactly.
Like now you're afraid. Like, is it gonna happen again? Is it gonna be around the corner? Like now I have to worry about my Ring auto updating. Or maybe he doesn't because he knows how to work the admin controls and stuff. But like. That'd be terrifying. Like if you had this like device that was hooked up to your head that could auto update a demon into your head. No thanks.
Well, let me ask.
Oh, you cut out there.
That's thank you. Based on Windows 95 Clippy. There you
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't catch it. Did you hear any of that, Sarah?
What was that?
I don't know. I can't hear anything you're saying. I think you're
you're
buffering it.
Yay.
Okay.
Afterlings love cornbread. They love cornbread and tortillas. You'll find out more about that later. Tortillas are good. Yay, good job for cornbread. Yeah, Bit, you work in tech? Like, okay, so was it scary enough for you? Did you feel terrified by
Is Bit on? Am I still here? Is Bit on right now?
Yes, he's on.
I see him.
I don't see him. What the hell?
Yeah.
I can see you and hear you.
All right. Well, that's why we're not talking. I can't even see him. I thought he cut out and was gone. Oh man, I don't know if it's my Wi-Fi or what, but I can't hear anything anyone's saying right now.
Dude.
Should we get note cards? Hold up note cards.
I can hear Sarah. I can hear the best. I can see and hear Sarah perfectly.
Well, that's because I'm just across the river.
That's what it is.
A bit. Can you hear me? Blake, can you hear me? Okay, cool. So you worked in. How close is this to what actually happens when there's an update that locks down everything and you can't fix it?
Oh man.
Yes.
Must be my Wi-Fi. I can't hear anything.
Oh no.
I can hear you. I can't. I didn't hear anything that Bit said.
It's the internet demons. They're here.
They don't want us talking about it. No, every time I try and stream, something happens. Whether like either it's good on my end where I can hear it, and then I go watch it back and it like buffered. I don't know if I need to get like a dedicated internet like Wi-Fi just for my laptop out here.
Oh geez, yes.
I don't
know. No, Bit was talking about the fact that when it auto updates, that's actually based on my own experience. So I like to be. I'm not really a hacksaw. I do like to. I like to take very, very old pieces of tech and put Linux on it just because I can. So if you're in love with Windows, I love you too. That's fine. But I really, really enjoy updating, just putting on various Linux distros that no one's ever heard of. And so I would go in and I would deliberately hack. I would deliberately hack like HP. I for some reason have an affinity for HPs, especially the older ones, because they don't want you to get into them. And I would go in and do disk formatting and then update them. And Windows would always try to come back. I would always have this thing out there that if you partition, do weird stuff. And so it was based on that experience of me trying to break away from Windows and trying to update to Linux. And having it always ask, would you like to do so and so? I'm like, no. And it just goes ahead and does it anyway. So it's based entirely experience messing with the little helpers. And also with studying about Neuralink. Neuralink at the time had not been really thought of when I first write this story. It was still in very developmental phases. They just had the very basics, the bare bones neural interface still being done. We're now at that point that Neuralink is actually being talked about as being used. So we're on the path towards Watcher the Dam being an actual document. It's going to be something. Yay. But so that's what that was sort of based on, was that loose research that we had at that point, and it's now coming to that point when you can do a neural override. Anytime you have that inflow of information, you have something else attached into. We are an electric machine, basically. That's what we are. We are a wetworks. Anybody who's ever worked in tech knows that's what we call a human being, wetworks. And so when you have an interface between machines, you have a cybernetic setup, and anything on the other side of that could be against you. And we don't really think of it in that terms about hacking the human body, but it's entirely possible. With kind of we're already having to. I kind of thought it was kind of prescient. I was like, started reading about it later. I was like, really shouldn't have written that part. I kind of leave that out. But yeah, you'll be for anything you meet on the road and Watcher the Dam, you are going to meet again. Every once in a while, you'll have a little interaction that might be kind of a one-off with a character. But if you meet a class of monsters, we'll usually have some other ones out there that will be associated with it because we're building the world and we're just meeting them as the Watcher. He's been in the prison so long, they're new to him. He hasn't been out here since all of these things started showing up after that. So as we go through the world with him, we discover it with him. And you're going to see these things again. So if you're meeting the helpers, we'll meet them. So have fun. You're going to. I just love the fact that we have F1 racing in the background somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with that.
It's not me. I
think it might be Bit. I think I have to turn him down a little bit, so it's not. I don't know if it's like his computer or something.
If I mute, does it help?
Yes.
Yeah, probably would. Yeah, if you mute until like you want to talk, I'll crank you all the way up then.
Well, I want to talk, damn it.
All right, go for it.
Right now.
Lay it down.
I thought I was kind of delighted that Saul was an Armenian. One of the main characters in my series is also Armenian, and I'm like, what are the odds?
Person's ever said that. There's a story behind that, and you'll be reading that later in book 3 and more about his background.
The other thing is I'm kind of picking up on the more of the Hindu mythology, and the knife to me says Kali, but the red skin says Brahma. So I haven't figured out which of the deities he's supposed to be yet, but I did notice that. I'm like, wait a minute, that sounds really familiar. Wait a minute, which is always kind of it's very funny because you want to be original as a writer, but you can't be completely original or no one can understand you. You've got to have the little threads going through that remind people of, things they like and that resonate with other stories. There's only 7 of them, right? So you kind of got to weave in little bits and pieces. So when you come across something, you go, wait a minute, that's familiar. What's going on here? I always like that part.
Thank you. Like I said, we actually have the 5 pretty much have Hinduism. We have Norse mythology. You have, of course, Roman and Greek mythology, which shows up from point to point, and it'll be referenced as well. You also have Mesoamerican mythology because it's part of the Texas triad of Mesoamerican influence in the United States. And then we have Chinese mythology also shows up from time to time. And there are other ones that are sort of woven in as well. But Hindu mythology, especially because it figures largely into a particular thread in this story that I think Sarah's already kind of seen part of that. And we'll see more of it as it comes in, of why this shows up. And as we go through, in fact, in Watch of the Damned, it pretty well lays down the groundwork of why we're seeing this and who we're going to. And then as you go through books 2 and 3, that solidifies the whole thing, sets up the entire series. And at that point, we're off running in book 4. So y'all have a lot of reading to do. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
I hope it's okay.
Yeah, it's great. I will say for me, like, I think what stuck was how much I already disliked the fathers. Like when he first pins her down and like, I think she's face down and he's like on top of her from behind and he's like, this is sacrilegious. This is for the fathers only. I was like, oh no. And then like when he saw the video of them like basically making all the afterlings like kind of be very reverent towards them and like bowing to him, and just the fact that she seems disturbed by the fact that she's being held down in that position by the Watcher, even though he's not making an advance on her, and she's not disturbed by the fact that she like, this is for the fathers. Like she thinks it's like she feels like she's been brainwashed. Like this is okay and appropriate. And I don't know, maybe I'm way off, but I feel like that's they're molesting these afterlings. That's the impression I got. And they doing it in a way where they've like brainwashed the afterlings into believing that like that's okay. For me, that was like real visceral. I was like, I hate these guys already.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the things we wanted to go after because so many people, there's already a trope out there, especially in science fiction. We have a trope of that all religion is evil. Mm-hmm. In Watcher of the Damned, there are 2 threads. There's false religion versus true faith. And you're going to see this actually starting in this first book. There's a clear dichotomy between the man-made religions, man-made beliefs that are created to subvert or to oppress people. And then there's a true faith from people that actually believe and have a reverence toward things. And there is a war between these 2 factions as we have world systems figure out that they can take any religion or any and create their own basically systems of oppression. And then you have faith, which is an entirely different thing, a religion that is based on a relationship with God, mm-hmm. or your own personal beliefs that you have back and forth. And I wanted that dichotomy to be there instead of just there's a religion and they're bad. We have people that are religious in the story that you're going to meet that actually have a true belief. And it's not about suppressing somebody. It's about being set free from the things that harm us. Yeah. And so I want that heaviness there of what happens when the state decides that your religion sounds like a really great way to keep people doing what you want. False cults have a tendency to pop up all over the place when you have governments believe that they can force people into, doing the right things. Yeah. And certainly this is not going to be any different. Like I said, we're dealing with a near future. And so near future usually to me is within 100 years of the last time somebody reads it. And then you go, oh, well, this must be in my future. And so we're going to say that that when you have that kind of near future, we're dealing with a lot of the same things now as we have governments literally create out of whole cloth belief systems that they want people to follow.
Yeah.
Things that become a religious dogma, even though it's actually politics. And so I wanted that reflected in this. So when you see this passage, for a lot of people that have been burned by books that are, oh, it's a religion, it's bad. We actually do have that interface between a true faith and the humans that believe. And then we have a government system that wants to suppress people through a religion they have created themselves.
Yeah.
And we're going to see more of that as we go forward.
Yeah, I also like that you waited till like, 3/4 of the way through the book to kind of drop this little nugget about the fathers being regular humans. Like they look like regular dudes, different skin colors. They have hair, they got beards. They look virile, as you say, in the book. And so now I'm like, how the hell are they? Because you spent like, the first 3/4 of the book, everyone's scaly and gross and they got no hair and they're disgusting. And if they're women, they're like super lean and buff and they got like one lock of hair, like, woo, she's a looker. So now we get to this like 3/4 of the way through, and all of a sudden there's just these like total chads that are perverts. But they look great. And you're like, well, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah, well, he's as shocked as you are. Go figure it out.
Yeah.
One of the things we're really blessed with Watcher of the Damned, and I say this honestly because I said this, I feel like the story was just given to me. It literally landed in my lap. I have no other way to explain it. And with Saul, because he's coming through, he's been in this prison for so long. He's been in this prison for decades, kept behind in chains. And he kept keeping himself sane by writing. And anybody who's ever been a writer knows that you actually can do that. He's created his own worlds. He's built his own life with this. And he is a writer. He's an author. And so he's kept himself thinking that way. But the people are in darkness. They don't know what's happened to them. They don't know why these things have taken place. And as he comes out of this oppressive little town that he's been in, this prison camp, he's discovering the world with us. So I don't have a character that's already knows all about it and I have to have him explain things to you. He's literally going through this with us. He's discovering it with us as we go on this journey. And so it makes it a lot easier for me I don't have to do as much exposition because all of a sudden something happens and he's like, what's going on? And he's as surprised as we are. Yeah. So discover it with us on the way.
I like it.
Thank you.
Bit, anything you want to add or anything sticking out to you?
Oh, we forgot to unmute.
Oh, I said that's better than my approach, which is just to make my main character stupid.
That's fantastic. When you're dumb as a box of rocks, you get to explain everything.
I temper it. He's not actually stupid, but he's very earthbound and naive, and so he tends to try to take his human understanding into situations where it doesn't belong anymore.
I've actually read part of your book, so let me say this. He is not stupid. He is grounded, and he is a concrete thinker. What is in front of him and where he is exactly the most important thing. He probably would be a very good at first response and stuff like that because it's what's in front of him is what he's dealing with. He's not worried about 10 steps down the road. He's worried about right here. And I think that's actually very refreshing because we have a lot of characters that think way too much. Just deal with it. It's right there.
Yeah, it's maybe not great when your job is diplomacy, but there's got to be conflict from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. The last 4 years, we kind of had that situation going on.
Oh,
whoa, political.
All of a sudden, the algorithms just dumped us. That's fine.
I'm small enough that it doesn't matter. They're not looking for me.
So the talk of religion is somebody on Twitter was saying that he was looking for non-materialistic, non-atheistic science fiction.
Was that Fredo?
Who is it?
Yeah, Fredosphere.
Yeah,
Fredosphere. Yeah. And I know that for me, I have a religion all over my books, but Sarah, I'm not familiar. How do you handle it?
Well, first of all, I want to say that whenever any of those kinds of questions come up on Twitter, I always know I'm running a risk if I recommend like 2 or 3 things and not every single thing.
Why didn't you mention this?
There's always so much good stuff to choose. So I'm never deliberately leaving people out. I'm trying to match to the question.
Yes.
Anyway, well, with my series, it kind of reflects my worldview, which is believer and Christian. But my main character is agnostic, so he has experiences that makes him question that, and he also sees he's dealing with the government suppression of religion and free speech, which he ends up rejecting. So it's there. It's certainly not atheistic or materialistic, but it's not like in your face. It's not like left
very subtle
theories.
It's like it's woven in. It's woven through the threads.
Yeah.
It's like looking at the cloth.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't just suddenly jump up at you. It's woven into the whole tapestry. When you're in your book, it's more of it.
I also have to like account for other well-established belief systems, some of whom are problematic. They call themselves the religion of peace, but but without.
It's like Antifa. They're anti-fascist. Really, they just act like fascists.
Like pointing fingers or anything. It's like, yes, in the future, there's going to be a lot of people believing different things. And sometimes when they interact, there's stress. But again, without like being heavy-handed, I hope.
Yeah. No, I think you did a great job with the parts I've read. It's very smooth. It wasn't it's over. I mean, I can tell it's there, but it's just part of the story. It's kind of like with Yuval Kordoff. I think have you read Yuval?
I've read Orders of Magnitude, and that novella was rad.
It's like reading. If 40K Warhammer 40K was Christian, and so basically, that's the whole new thing. And in fact, my son just started writing some of it too. Is incense pump. So it's so refreshing because it's overtly Christian. As a result, you just don't care. It's like, and we're seeing this more with writers like Sarah, with writers like Yuval, with Blake, Brian McCoppin's another one with Paladin. We have so many great indie writers that wanted to put themes of Christianity in there. It's nothing new. Narnia is a sci-fi Christian fantasy. His what is it? This Hideous Strength.
The trilogy. Yeah.
It's been around. For sci-fi and fantasy to become atheistic is certainly sad. It's not. That's not the true nature of the universe. Even Ray Bradbury, one of the things that people complain about the most, I love Ray Bradbury. I've said it before. His book, The Zen and the Art of Writing, that's my writing guide. He is absolutely fantastic. It's just a fantastic little set of essays that he did. And some people got upset with Ray Bradbury because he was overtly religious in his explanation of the process of writing. Is almost like a religious experience, but he mentions religion. He actually talks about it. And this was not appealing to the atheistic movements that started in the 70s and 80s and started pushing forward with, well, science has to be all about only what you see in front of you and not what's behind the curtain. That nothing is further from the truth in science. There are wavelengths I can't even see. If I insist that the only thing that's real is what I can see in front of me, I am missing the universe. And so we find this a pushback in the indie community. I believe that we are bringing this up, whether it's Blake or Sarah or Yuval or Brian or any of those other ones. They're out there. There's so many great guys and gals. So Herman P. Hunter actually has a very Christian theme running through his books as well. And John, although it's not explicitly Christian, John A. Douglas does have the themes of the religious themes of that passion to be good. What is goodness? We see people directly confronting this in the indie community. We're embracing it, and people are loving it. They're reading it. And I think that we have to be able to push back and say that our faith is not an anathema to science. There's nothing further from the truth. the greatest astronomers of the time believed in God. My father, who helped design the Saturn V rocket, was a Christian. There's nothing that says you have to. There shouldn't be a tension between science and faith, and to say that science fiction has to be inherently atheistic is, I feel like, is limiting in the extreme. There's nothing scientific about that.
Yeah.
And so I think that we're trying to bring that back into it, because that's that interaction of us with the universe, of beyond what we can see, beyond what we can taste, touch, or smell, or feel. There is a world out there that's just beyond the sight of man. What is it? What do we know about it? And combining that with cyberpunk and with other genres, we come up with these extraordinary journeys of our characters. You were talking about it, Sarah. One of the things that I had with I'm so excited you said that, starting off as an agnostic. Saul is deeply agnostic. He's not very happy with the state of the world, and he's not really sure that God's ever listening to him, or he wouldn't be where he is. And we learn more about his background and why he feels the way he does. He knows some things. He has his mother's purple Bible, but he doesn't believe it. He states off and on that he believes that the gods are all dead, but he keeps these things out of habit because he wants to see what was beautiful in the world. And that's why he reads these books. And he has 3 books that he carries with him: the Ruby Audible Markayam, his mother's purple Bible, and the so I just went blank. I have a third one. Dang it. What was the third book? I did. Sorry about that. But yeah, he says his 3 books that he has that he keeps with him at all times. And excuse me.
Five rings.
Yeah.
5 rings.
Yes, thank you. I just went blank. I've been up so long. But so yes, that's another deep thread that he has with his. But he's very cynical. One of the reasons that Saul is so close to my heart is because I start off my faith journey as an agnostic. Even though my parents were deeply religious, I went through a period where I did not really feel like God was out there, that he really wasn't that's not applicable to me. And my own journey is actually reflected to a certain extent in Saul's journey, not completely and explicitly, but we have his journey of faith as he moves forward. And it's not going to be just this sudden, oh, look, I'm a Christian and these things happen. It's not that. It's a discovery of what lies beyond the human soul. Who are we? Is there more to our lives than just me here right now? And Rose's journey actually is somewhat like that, except that she is deeply invested in the religion she's been taught. She is very religious and believes deeply that what she's been taught is the right thing, that she should be doing it. And it stays with her throughout the book as she struggles with what is a true belief and what is something that's been fed to her that might be given to her by people that want to manipulate her. Will she be able to maintain that innocence and that belief? And I wanted to have those 2 ideologies of the person that believes because they were told what to believe, and they really want to believe it, and they have it in their heart, and they find out that maybe something wasn't true, or there was somebody that was bad that was telling them these things. And then we have the other person who is that life has just been a bowl of lemons and it sucks, and if God was real, why did he let me go through this anyway? And I wanted those 2 points to come together. And there actually is a character that's upcoming that Sarah's already met that helps this. And much like one of my favorite stories, Firefly, which is one of an absolutely fantastic. I don't know how many of y'all ever watched Firefly.
I saw the first episode.
Did you? Good job, Sarah.
I think I saw the intro.
Yeah.
It's a great intro. It's a great intro.
Oh yeah, it is. You can't take this guy from me. Well, one of the characters in there actually is named Book, and he's the shepherd, as it's called. And I loved that character so much, and so it wasn't a derivative of that, but it emboldened me when I was actually writing. I actually was watching Firefly at the time, that I could make this character, and it wouldn't be preachy, that he wouldn't be over the top, but instead just a simple person that actually has a real and true faith. Mm-hmm. And bringing all those 3 points together allows me to make some really important discussions about what it means. So it's not just one thing that's presented throughout the book. Instead, it's all the different viewpoints that people have when they're going through these steps in our lives of where we are in our belief, whether we're down the road of not believing that it exists at all, or we are completely invested in the fact that there is a God who loves us.
Yeah. In regards to Rose, I feel like she's a faithful person, a person of faith. But I also, like you said, I think she is maybe extremely dogmatic and maybe legalistic to a doctrine that maybe isn't that sincere and righteous, I guess. Maybe from some nefarious folks. And I think that we kind of see how that's a negative for her, especially when she encounters Saul and he's like tapping into her thing and she's like, "Are you God?" Like just like these wild things that she's like, "What? Like why would you think that?" But like, you know, like you can see the danger in like being brainwashed by maybe not a healthy righteous doctrine.
You know, I have to say on the whole topic, just from this anthropological standpoint, I don't know of any civilizations that ever rose up without a religious foundation. You know, and actually, in my 5th book in my series, the whole central character is trying to figure out if man can actually make it into the stars without some kind of binding principle, you know, because that's what religion means, right? Ligio is to bind, and you know, it doesn't. It's very funny because I do think there is an aesthetic, materialistic and atheistic thread in science fiction going back a ways. I think Bradbury's more the exception in a lot of ways because he writes the greatest stories about.
I love.
He'll have Jesus in space. He'll have a Martian Jesus. He's, you know, it's like it totally works for him. But you know, but strictly speaking, like if you're going to be scientific about this, people seem to need this thing. Like, and then of course that's one of C.S. Lewis's arguments is, right, why do I need this thing if it doesn't exist? Where does this desire for something that never happened came from? You know, and it's like, well, if you were really interested in sending man to the stars and being successful, how would you do it? How could you possibly create a force? It can't be like here we are in the early 21st century, and it's like everybody is kind of just floating around. There's no drive, there's no impulse. And so all of this Western civilization is kind of disintegrating because there's no longer the binding power of Christendom, you know, which tolerated a wide levels of faith, right? You had people who were, you know, Easter and Christmas Christians, and you had people going every day. But the fact that it was there at a point from which you could do things, you can't neglect that, right? You don't have any situations where that isn't the case. And when you get to the point where the religion becomes parody and cartoonish, then the civilization falls apart. You know, same with the Romans and the Egyptians and the Greeks. They all had these strong beliefs that then, you know, became parodies. And it's always the end times for the civilization. Yeah, sorry for rambling.
Well, no, that's great.
Yeah,
I just wanted to build off of that is that I think we see our tech overlords trying to fill that vacuum with their own.
Yes, right.
By building their own transhumanism as a religion. A lot of them really believe in transhumanism. They're going to upload their consciousnesses and live forever, and that's why we have to conquer the stars, because Earth is going to die and it's the only way. They really believe that, and so that's their driving force. That's their religion. But I just don't see that really taking off among everybody else because it's creepy.
Yeah,
it's just plain creepy.
Yeah, that's actually the basis of the really only purely evil creatures in my books, which are these people who've made it. Right, they're basically mostly robots. And they've lived for hundreds of years, and they're completely and thoroughly evil. And,
oh my gosh,
you know, just over the top, just crazy. You know, they're all insane, right? Because they've lived their lives by just replacing everything human with something else, and what comes out on the other side isn't human anymore.
Yeah.
You know, but the whole topic of, can you just fabricate something? Or part of it is that, you know, there probably needs to be an element of suffering. And that's very hard to sell, right? I mean, the transhumanists
because they're
trying
to avoid. They want to avoid
Exactly.
as much suffering as possible. They don't see any value in suffering, and they're just terrified of death because they don't think there's anything beyond it.
Well, they don't see any value in their suffering. Now, and
Right.
They don't believe that man could be God. They don't see this as a universal thing, because already you're seeing that they don't believe that we have the right to self-governance. We certainly don't have the right to have the water, the airplanes, to be able to travel freely like they do. So then we say, why is it that those people, it's because they believe that they are God. Now, when you see that people come in and they wipe out 2,000 years of culture, trying to tear down all the statues and do everything, they're not just doing it because they're setting someone free. They're doing it because they're going to replace it with something. And they're just trying to get that slate clean. We've been problematic. That you, the fact that you actually will dare to write about your faith, you dare to write about your beliefs, you dare to question and to challenge those who would tell you that you cannot believe that and still be a thinking human being, or that you can't believe that and believe in science. That you have to. They are very dogmatic and they are very black and white. You either believe what I tell you or you are stupid. And so we just ignore them because we know that they have no authority. They don't have authority to tell us. They don't have authority to pull down a statue. If they pull down a statue, make another. And that's exactly what we've done with the books. We've gone out, we've done our indie writing. We have indie authors. We have indie artists. We have indie musicians. We have indie YouTubers who come up and just go ahead and say what they think and do what they want to do. And they don't care if they get demonetized or not, except when it really would have come in handy. But that's fine, because you're going to make it one of these days. Because it is about culture and belief and the connection between human and the divine. When you transcend who we are in this little space and time, in this plane here, and we come to the place where we can see beyond the stars, where we can say there's something more than just where I am now, you have to believe that there's something beyond what you can see.
100%.
And the only mindset that opens that up is the mindset that there's more out there than what we simply have in front of us. And that is an inherently human and open-minded belief that there is more out there than just a human on this earth. And it includes God. That belief includes God. The greatest minds have felt this, whether the greatest minds have written about it.
For sure. Isaac Newton was Christian, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
There is no reason for this to be shoved down our throats now, except that they want to erect God in their own image. Mm-hmm. And they're going to tell you it's to save the earth, or they're going to tell you it's because that you have to be a better person by letting go of all of these things that they think are bad for you. But they think it's bad for you because they don't want it. They don't want those things. They don't want imperfect people in the world, and that's why they want you to get an abortion or send grandma to the nursing home to get her put down by the right time, and let's all harvest the organs and take everything out. Why? Because this is already transhumanism. You literally have people that exist for nothing more than just to cannibalize the earth for their own purposes, shutting down entire communities in Africa so they can go on a journey and look at a pretty mountain without those pesky humans in the way. They have been done in Peru, taking over entire cultures just so they can say that they're going to make it greener. Taking a village and denying them the ability to build a road so their women can go to the hospital to have babies because they believe that it's bad for the earth. Now, that is making yourself in the image of God. And one of the biggest warnings in Watcher the Dam is what happens when man makes himself God. And how they can entirely foobar the earth beyond all recognition because we are not God. And no matter how big we think we are, how good we think we are, anytime we elevate ourselves to the level of godhood over other people, we will become oppressors. So that is the warning in it. And I think that this conversation that we're having here, where we're being told that we have to choose between faith and actual thinking, is precisely the most closed-minded, small-minded ideology ever known. Give in to that, then we will lose every ability to look beyond ourselves and to reach the stars.
Amen. I like that. Yeah, I feel like on top of that, what you guys talking about the transhumanists, like I feel like like the new, aside from that, like the new religion or like the idolatry is like your personal identity. Like you said, make yourself a new god. Like, what's your identity? This when it like nowadays, whenever someone introduces themselves, they're always, hi, my name is, I am XYZZZ, whatever, all these things that they are. I'm like, dude, shut up. I don't care. Like just say what you want to say. It's like, it's so weird. Like it's the most dogmatic I've ever seen from like, even from like super religious people. Like these people are straight up towing the line, very dogmatic. Even though they don't think they're religious, they are very religious. Just they believe in crap.
And they're usually wearing a mask.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still.
Think of it in terms of stating your royal lineage, and it starts to fit in perfectly. I'm the Duke of the son of the. Now my pronouns are he and they. My pronouns are he and they, and I'm a non-binary ghost spirit. I'm making this up, but it's probably got a thing in there somewhere.
I'm a non-binary bisexual.
Yes. Which makes me a quadrisexual. I don't even know how that works.
But if one of the things in Texas that struck out to me, you're saying that usually wearing a mask, because I feel so sorry for people that actually have to wear a mask now. Like if you're having an autoimmune disorder or you're getting ready for chemo or something.
Yeah.
Not just that they're getting ready for chemo. Some people really do wear it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that mindset that you introduce yourself to somebody, you immediately start telling them who you are. That is not the way of greeting
all about me
for centuries has been to, you stick out your hand and say, hi, I'm so-and-so. Who are you? How are you? We reach across to find out about the other person. We are not announcing ourselves, you're right, as if we were gods or as if we were the Duke of Earl or whatever you want to be. We say, my name is this. How are you? Who are you? And we want to know more about the other person. This has been completely supplanted by people that immediately announce themselves, and it is all about them and how they wish to be treated by you. You're supposed to somehow give them this obeisance. And if you do the right things, then they will acknowledge your identity, but only after you give them what they want. This is a completely narcissistic viewpoint. It doesn't look out.
Exactly.
This is born out of narcissism. You all and be all of all things. How you feel and what you think are override everybody and everybody else's beliefs. And it's so limiting for everyone. You can't meet someone else when the only person that you're concerned about is yourself. And I think we're losing so much in that. And frankly, it's wonderful just to be in a place. I will say this, I love being in Texas because I still am able to have conversations with people where it's just about what we're talking about. It's just about the things that are in our lives. And it's not all about how one person feels like you've got to say this because today I've decided this thing, or you have to say what I want you to say, or I'm never going to speak to you again. And we've all seen that, and I think that being able to interact with somebody without fear of immediately being judged and shoved away, honestly, somebody can come up to me and they could be the most completely different person for me on the planet. They could even be doing things that I think are wrong or harmful for themselves. But if they just come up with a genuine smile and talk to me, I'm going to talk back to them. And we're going to connect as human beings, as people. And I think this is where the Watcher and Rose really come in, because I wanted two completely different humans who aren't really sure if each other are human or not.
Yeah.
To touch and cross that divide. And I think we're losing that in our own society right now. And it's really terrifying to think that we will have people who won't even know how to say, hi, how are you? Without feeling like they're working.
Yeah. I agree 100%. And on that point of Rose and the Watchers, kind of their buddy relationship right now, I really like the way, like once the Watcher found out that Rose read his work, it kind of like shifted something in him, and like it almost like developed like an instant connection. He's like, I can't lose you. You're my audience. You can't go
only
anywhere.
Audience.
Yeah, you're my reader. You can't leave. Don't leave me.
That hit close to home, I'll tell you. No, you're not going anywhere. You're going to sit down and listen to more.
Well, there's a loneliness in writing, and I think every one of us in this room, and And Dirtbag, Bruce, you said the same thing. You know, when you're working on your content, people who aren't interested in it will almost always let you know.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Isn't it amazing? They won't talk to you, they won't give you the time of day, you know, but they will let you know, I am not interested in what you're doing. You can go do that. You go to the thing. And it really hurts when it's family members. It really hurts when it's somebody close. But it can be very lonely because there are a lot of people that don't want to read. They may be excited to be around us. They may be our friends, but they don't want to read. They don't want to read what we've written. Or say it can be. Go ahead. Oh, she's talking to somebody.
Oh.
I thought she was calling out. I was like, oh no. Come in here. I want you to hear this. But I think that when there may not be interest in it. It gets to be very lonely because it is a voice that only we can hear. That we are speaking these words, and it's like speaking into that echo chamber. And Saul's only voice is his writing.
Yeah.
People don't really communicate with him, and here he has this rich inner world and this tapestry of poetry and music and thought, and he wants to share it. And he's become so used to being alone, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually, that for somebody to say, I read what you wrote, I loved that. And she just, sort of pushes it, she gives it back to him, and it literally crushes his soul because he can't imagine for the first time that somebody actually knows what he thought.
Yeah.
That he knows what he really meant. And I think that's part of that loneliness of creation, that when we're creating and somebody isn't interested in what we're doing, or they don't want to see it, if only we could let them know this is a part of a portrait of my soul. I'm actually creating for you. When I create art, music, or literature, I'm creating a portrait of my soul. And actually, this extends, believe it or not, to mechanics, people who work with their hands. Mm-hmm. A garden is a portrait of someone's soul. What comes out of us in that creative moment, whether it's fixing a tire or it's refurbishing a Mustang, it's how we create ourselves. And one of the worst things we can do as family members or as lovers is to say, "Oh, you go ahead and you do your thing, but I really don't care. You whatever you're going to do, that's fine." For somebody to step around the corner and go, "I saw what you did today," to actually say something about it without us prompting them, and to say, "I watched your video. It was really good. Good job, Bruce." And it has. And suddenly we're all crying. No, Mom never did. No, it's not. You're okay.
I'm kind of laughing right now because I literally, before I came on the stream, I asked my 5-year-old daughter, like, "Are you going to watch Daddy stream?" Didn't skip a beat. No.
No, she will. Trust me. Now, here's the cool part about it. Sometimes people really don't care right now what we're doing. And this is honest. This is for everybody. This is not just for writers and artists. This is for everybody. People don't really care about that thing that we did, the woodworking little thing you did, or the little toy you carved, or the poem that you wrote online, or the really cool comment you made on Twitter. Congratulations. There comes a day where we're no longer there. They go back through our things and they suddenly realize this is a lasting legacy. Your words, your art, your music, the dress you sewed, or the portrait you took, the photos. People go back to those. That is who you are. It's left in a lasting form. And us knowing that, it's maybe they don't care right now, but if they really love you, they will come back to these things. They never completely vanish. There's always someone that picks up what you did and says, "This is beautiful. My mother made this quilt. It's something that she did with her own hands." It becomes a memory that's made into a real form. And so you don't want to ever give up your craft just because the people that you love and who may love you aren't interested. Keep doing what you're doing, because someday it will become a treasure that won't just be loved by those people that you love, but it may be loved by people around the world. And that portrait's a lasting portrait of you.
Wow, that was beautiful.
Okay. Why? If I hear stuff all the time, so it's fine.
Yeah, I got other stuff to add, but I don't want to keep. If you guys want to, Bit or Sarah, if you guys have anything you want to talk about.
No, not for this section.
Alrighty. So going on with the Watcher and kind of this relationship that he's starting to build with Rose, when he hacks into her or gets control of her ring, and he's like looking at her pictures, and he sees Joseph, and he's like, "I already hate this guy. I hate him. I don't like him. I saw one message about the guy, and I can't stand him."
But and how did that hit y'all? Now, Sarah, I know you've already read ahead, so you know what this is all about. So we won't tell that spoiler yet. But go ahead.
Well, it made him more human.
Mm-hmm.
made the watcher more human.
Yeah. It's like, oh, he's got
My crush has a
got
boyfriend.
a lot going on in there.
It's always weird. I say this. I don't know, Blake. Have you ever done this thing? And this is true confession time. Have you ever looked through somebody's notes and you went, "I didn't know that about you"? It's like go, what? It's like, have you ever done that? Can you say that?
Read through someone else's notes.
Yeah, or like this, where you pick up like a book they're reading, or you look at sometimes it's their photos, or it's their phone, or something else. But it's such a shock when you see something that you think you know a person, then you go, wait a minute, this is not something I was expecting. Or you see a picture of their family and you go, this doesn't, I don't know who these people are. It's such an intimate moment when you see somebody else's words, and maybe it's not something, we don't want to pry into other people's lives. But there is a boundary that we cross when we enter someone else's life, where suddenly the things that they had before us come to us. And it's all laid out on the table. And whether they're sharing it openly or you happen to see it, it can be a real shock when you realize this person isn't just the person you met. They're the person you met plus 10 other people that are in their life somewhere else.
I feel that way when I'm visiting a friend's houses and looking at their Christmas trees and their ornaments. Like, really? I don't like looking at their ornaments very closely because it seems like it's so private. Even though they're all out there, but each one has a history and says sentiment, or they picked it for this reason or whatever, and it's like, I mean, that's beautiful, it's great, but I feel weird looking at it. So.
It's got memories all over it. It's like,
yeah,
like grubby little hands, but it's memories instead. Bit, what you got?
I have no shame. I'll snoop through anything completely. My shocks are all on the larger scale. Like, that's a bestseller. It's not even written in English. How is that possible? It's just a list of video games over and over again. Sorry, I'm getting too close to home on that one.
Nice.
I think it is really hard. I wanted that moment where you think, it's so many times in stories we have, it's just the characters and when they are talking to this person, it's family never shows up.
Oh no.
Family, whether it's we're back. Are we back?
Yeah, you're back.
It's something about blank on my end. But family, I've never known anybody who was just alone in this world that they never mentioned their family, especially when they're alone, really alone. Like you meet them and they're totally separated from everybody. They're going to mention their family. They're going to tell you why they're alone. They're going to tell you that dad did this or their mom did that, or I left home when I was 16 and I've never looked back. Family almost always comes up. One of the things that we've seen over and over again in our storytelling is that we have a tendency to focus so much on the character in front of us, but they have nobody else but them. It's just right there in that little point. And because, and of course, in storytelling, we want to stay focused on what's the most important, what drives the story forward. Because Watch of the Dam is a lot of it is about family and about connections and who has other people in their lives. And it becomes a theme throughout the book. It's not just a one-off thing or, hey, let's look back at her past. These people are important to Rose. And she has tried to maintain a contact with them, even though she's separated from them by miles. And it turns out that she can't even hit a beacon to send a message home. She's still been writing this because she misses them so much that she keeps this journal and she writes to Angelina and she writes to Joseph and she writes to Barnaby, her dog, to keep that connection alive. And I know some of us have done that when we've had people pass away, that we've written letters to them, or we've, leave a message on a phone that's been disconnected for, 20 years. I just want to call you to tell you I love you, because we miss that person. And so for Rose, that's a visceral point for her, is to try to reach out to family. And it turns out family is very important to her. Saul's got a different story. Is the one person that he considered family at all was Abuelita. And even though she was found family, she was somebody that he met along the way, that she becomes that grandmother to him. And I wanted that element of family in it. Familia is a very important concept, not just in Texas, but around the world. And I think every culture that you're in, no matter what state you're in or what part of the world you're in, there's an element of family. And I think when we don't have something, at least to harken back to that in stories, it's less textured. There's something missing. It's like having salt missing from a meal. With it in there, even if it's just a little bit, it seasons the characters in the story. At least we know that there's something more than just themselves in their own mind. That they're not just out there, that can be a very intriguing character. The person who just shows up out of nowhere, the wandering monk, you don't even know where they're from or who they've been with, or, they show up and they, do some kung fu on somebody and walk away, and then you run after them, whatever. But it's that moment, that person is usually, it should be a one-off. That's usually a very unusual person in the real world. The truth is, for all of us, we have family and we have unresolved relationships and things that have been, taken away from us too soon sometimes. And I wanted that to be in The Watcher of the Damned. And so when they have those moments where he's looking through her things, it wasn't just, he's interested in it because he's actually looking at who she really is behind the hair and the, bluster and her hitting him and stealing his hat. Mm-hmm. There's an actual person there who has real relationships and real connections with other humans that he hasn't even met and doesn't know.
Alrighty, yeah, I think this was a great book club night. It's 8:30 right now, and probably gonna have to go help put the kids to bed. But yeah, thank you guys for coming on. That was an awesome sesh.
You did good. Y'all got deep real quick. You went on the religion.
Yeah, we had. Yeah, we went a little off topic, or no, I guess it's not off topic. It's related, but yeah, we branched out there and got a little bit, philosophical.
But that's what a book club.
But we brought it back. We brought it back. That's what counts.
Books are supposed to make you think.
Yeah.
Okay,
definitely.
you can enjoy yourself, but if you put down a book and you go, okay, I'm done, I'm finished, I'm done. If you don't think about it afterwards, then maybe you're missing a little bit of something. So I'm glad it made you think and it got a chance to go in that direction.
Okay, this is the first book club I've ever actually done, so I'm having a good time. I mean, I did
a great club.
Yeah, I did another book last time, but I was by myself, so it's not really a book club. That's just a, like I said, long form book review, really, in that case. But yeah, this is awesome. I'm loving it.
Thank you so much, and you guys have been so fantastic to be here. So I'm excited to see what you think. I'm just so happy every time that you just don't go, did not finish, and just like throw the book out the camera and let it knock it over, and then it just goes black. That would be so sad. That's my nightmare. That Blake's gonna do. I know Sarah wouldn't do that. Sarah would go, I was disappointed, and then she would just the camera would just fade softly, and I would be like, no, Sarah.
I'm planning a big outburst for the next episode. Where I go, I can't believe you did that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Bumps the streaming numbers,
Yeah, Bruce would have to do it. Whereas we're canceling. The book sucks. The end. It's like we can't go on this way.
I don't see that happening. Full disclosure, I'm hooked. I want to finish it, but I got to figure out. I hate these fathers, and I like characters that I hate. If that makes sense.
Watcher of the Damned is full of people you're gonna hate.
Yeah.
We have hateable characters. By golly.
All right. Well, yeah. Thanks for coming, guys, and I'll see you next week.
All right.
Thank you so much.
See ya.
Thank you, Blake. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Shadow.
See ya.